Yeah, that's unfortunate. She's not here. It is, yes. The whole screen is currently being captured. All right, I'm going to start bottom up. um, let's see. So if this is not in an assembly, we're just going to look at them individually. No, it was like a nice to have, but not a requirement. So, but we'll see. Maybe we can. It's the handle. There you go. Let's go to start the timer. That's forever going to be recorded in the video. Immortalized on YouTube. Okay. So yeah, this is the first family. I'm assuming, right, that all the ones go together. Is that right, Nina? Or maybe we should tell you. I don't know. So I'd be curious to see this on the toaster. I do think so. Maybe we can do. Let's try this. See if this works. Instead of putting them in the toaster, at least just all putting them in the same screen so that we can exactly look at them all together. All right, so I'm noticing some things off the bat looking at them all together. Yeah, scale. You know what? We're just gonna put the toaster in here. Why not? Yeah, you might want to double check your scale, Nina. Does that make sense? Yeah, just as that handle looks a little chunky. Is this the family? I already asked that question, but I think you said yeah. So this is the family that goes together? Okay. Like, I don't mind you playing with scale, but I would say this is a little too extreme. Knob, to state the obvious, knob could be bigger, handle could be smaller. We already guessed it, teenage engineering. So nice work. That people got it. Are any feedback on family look and feel? Anyone? I have some thoughts, but is there one that stands out as different? Feel free to call out. Yes, wouldn't hurt. Unfortunately, so I have mixed feelings. I love that, and I think you should. Unfortunately, it's a rendering. We're probably not going to see it. So things like that. If you have those details, you could totally like have a view up if you wanted, like detail views. That's true. That's a good point. You might see it from the side, especially if you make them a little longer. So I'm all for things like that. I think that's a great suggestion. I agree they fit the theme a little. I want to use the word excessive. I would say that maybe they're not necessary. Yeah. I think the handle, yeah, this is like a pinch handle. I don't mind it though. You might feel it, see it. Honestly, I feel like based on grip, could you make an argument that these should actually be on this face? I like that. So I think the main feedback for me, I don't know, I guess I want to, yes, sorry, to build on that. So we're all talking about, yeah, the grip looks like it fits. Functionally, it might make more sense on this face. I like cut in for for another reason. Any thoughts why I like? Sure, this is true technically, but no, for a design reason, I like it cut in. Yeah, that's subjective. I like it for an objective purpose based on the project and based on the family look. The knob is cut in. That's all I'm trying to get. I mean, yeah, it's grippable. There's a lot of good reasons. I don't disagree with you all. I'm literally just saying like I would do that because it ties in with the knob. I like how you did this cut in here. I would maybe, my recommendation would be however you created this to do this here too, along this face. We can look at this. Did you do it? Yeah, you did it with that method that we talked about in the, what's it called? It wouldn't hurt to have the sprue down here just for mating purposes. Really, the one test, I mean, let's do it now for chagrins. I'm assuming it's not going to work. But if you wanted to make this bigger, will everything rebuilds? Hey, it didn't completely fail. That's good. Oh, here you go. Let's see. Let's change this. So for what it's worth, I would put both of these in the same sketch as a master. What? Does that make sense, what he said? So if you need to select different ones. Oh, wait. I keep forgetting that your file setting is different, that these sketches, am I right or? Okay, yeah, so let's look at this here. So Nina's settings, the sketches are not consumed by the feature. Let's see if I can find this on the fly. I believe it's under the gear. Yeah, some people prefer it, actually. It's totally, there's no right or wrong way. I'm just used to the other way. You know what though? This is weird because it's different on my settings. I'm gonna have to Google this and get back to it. But we can look at that on yours. Anyway, yeah. You know, if I just quickly show you what I don't know how much time. So like a master sketch for this, in my opinion, would maybe look something like, I might actually start it from this view. Remember, think about the water bottles. So like on a very basic level, I would probably start the master sketch like this. So that this way you can start, sure, let's say that's 2 inches. And then here, if you determine what this gap is, then that way if you change the overall size of the knob, sure, 8.5 inch, that's way too high. Let's say 1 inch. Let's say this is like sorry, quarter. This is maybe too extreme. I don't know, play with the proportion. But if you start the master sketch this way, and then, you know, even like, I know you put those cuts in, so you can actually start to plan for that in this sketch as like an arc. I mean, I know when I showed you the demo, like it was pretty rough and like more like sketchy SolidWorks, not like robust for rebuilding. But if you kind of set this distance, like maybe you know what size scoop you want to make here, you can set, let's see if we can do this. Like maybe you know you want this to be in the middle, so you can set this to be midpoint. If you know that you want to cut essentially a swept cylinder that's maybe 0.2 big, you can make this 0.1, and now you know, or no, rather like 0.08. Then if this is swept later with a 0.2 cylinder, you know it's going to cut in like about 0.5 millimeter. So maybe you want to set this to like 0.05, get it closer. But now if you need to change the size of the knob, like all of this should rebuild. I guess actually we should probably fix, well, this is where you might want to fix this to move it from prevent it from jumping around. It doesn't matter what the dimension is. But what I want to show is that now, if the knob is too small, you can just, or too big or whatever, let's say it's too big, you can change this 1.5. This will jump in and move and rebuild. So that's again why master sketches are good, because now when I came in and edited the file here, I kind of ruined it. All right, let's look at the other family really quickly. I'm sorry, I really should have started. Are there any particular questions that you have, Nina, that you want us to look at? That's really how I should have started.
I do have some questions, but I saved the files for you to look at, or maybe I was trying to look at assembly when I built it. So I can put those up if you want, or...
Wait, I'm sorry, I'm confused. So you have other files where you tried different stuff that you did not upload? Oh, I see, okay. In the remaining time, yeah, if you want to throw that on, that's fine. We can look at it. Maybe pick one, the one that would hopefully answer most of the questions. Let's let all these files open and we'll look at this next family while you do that, and I'll give some feedback. Nice, I like the crank knob, that's cool. Oh, when I went to file open, I selected multiple files, and it does that when you do that. But I think you can go to Cascade, and that'll do it. But yeah, let's go back to our assembly here. There might be, I don't know off the top of my head, you might be able to Google that. Didn't find something? It may not be possible. There's like if you hit spacebar, here you go. You might be able to find a setting here that does it. That's spacebar. Any thoughts on this next family, anybody? Yeah, so it should all be the same brand, right? Oh, no, yeah, this is still Nina. Oh, gotcha. Okay, nice work. I think you've hit the aesthetic. That's the good news. Yeah, I prefer this family over the other one. They're both good, but I like this handle. It's interesting. Let's see how you constructed this. Yeah, the last handle I'm like kind of iffy on, to be honest, but.
I mean, I think the button and just like made it easy to grip, and I think that's cool, but this was definitely.
So let's look at how Nina made this. She extruded it, fill it. That's totally fine. I don't mind. You should all build this however you can build it, right? Like I'm arming you with the tools. Again, the only requirement I have is that there's at least one sweep and one loft somewhere in the project. That's the only requirement. Within the whole project, one thing should have a sweep, one thing should have a loft. I mean, I'm assuming there'll be more because it allows you to do more complex stuff, but I mean, like, for example, this could have been done with a loft, but she did it with a fillet. That's okay. Honestly, like I would prefer, if we're being picky, I would prefer that this is a revolve. Because you can do this with one command as a revolve as opposed to the 3 commands here. Does that make sense? I won't grade to that level of scrutiny, but I do grade on efficiency. So like, I assume that everyone should mirror their handles unless there's a good reason not to. So that's a place I will take off points in project 2. Does that make sense? If I ever see you doing like doubling the effort, then that's where I'll take off points. Yeah, this is totally all right. Okay. Did you see how she built this? You were asking how she built it. So it's just basically, if it's my opinion, I would start this with a revolve, then I would extrude half the handle, and then.
Wait, how does it goes right from the cylinder and extrude it? Like this thing.
This is what the shape looks like. It just aligns with it. Yeah. Yeah, there is a way to do it. You all know how to do this. What is it called? Convert entities. And that will copy it. It will copy the exact sketch. So if I convert entities from this extrusion that you did here, that will capture it. Does that answer your question? Here's another way. So you want this to be exactly the same length. You can literally click on this edge and click on convert entities. And now it literally copies that edge as to a sketch. And now if you draw a line along here or whatever. Let me just draw a line floating in space. I'll keep it horizontal. If I now select this and say tangent, it now snaps to it. But yeah, does that answer your question? Or I can like hover over this until I get this vertice, bring this over. Don't forget to trim. It cuts the part of the circle that's on the inside there. For what it's worth, ideally that this would be the actual midpoint of the handle, but it's not, it's okay. If I'm being picky, like best practice is that the right plane would actually be here. Also, here's an important stipulation. Some of you lost points on project 1 for not having your fillets at the bottom. That's always when it makes sense. Here's an instance where if you wanted, you could have had these fillets on here before the mirror, because then you have less to select. So it's acceptable to have the mirror to be the last command. If it makes it, again, it's all situational if it makes sense. Always advisable. Go ahead. It depends. It's all situational, but it's better practice, in my opinion, to do the mirror as a feature because you never know if you're going to want to go in and add a cut or like some other feature to the physical body. Unfortunately, that's time. I'll look at one file real quick though. I'll set a 2-minute timer for this. That's all you get. No, I'm kidding. After class, I'm happy to stay after class if anyone has any extra questions. You put it in here. Handle try to. So this goes for everyone. If there's one particular thing you want me to look at, please upload it. That's what the homework's for. I'm grading whether you did it or not. I'm not grading whether it's pretty or not. Does that make sense? Homework is for learning and especially these kinds of things for the project check-in. Yeah, it's a yes and no. It's not like, and so that's where like errors are okay because then we can help solve them. So your goal here, you wanted to loft the bottom to the top? All the way through? Okay, yeah, I can already predict what's going to happen here. So let's look at this and we'll see if we can solve it in 2 minutes. So firstly, this is an open profile. You could sweep it. There's different ways to go about this. Oh, this is a closed profile. Yes, with a sweep cut. Oh, that is what you ended up doing. If you wanted to do this as a loft, well, firstly you have to right-click here. Just a reminder for everybody, right-click Selection Manager if you don't want to select the entire sketch. Or Selection Manager is good for breaking up a selection or combining a selection. And again, you get to it by hitting right-click in Selection Manager. So here I'm breaking up this sketch, Selection Manager, to get this here now too. And now we're having that blend there. So this loft is working for the most part, but if you want it, I'm assuming you wanted it scalloped here too. So on this face, there's your 2 minutes. I'll just finish this loft. Sometimes you need to roll this bar up before the loft happens. Sometimes you need to change these settings to make them visible again. So I'm just going to drop in another arc here. Ideally, it should be equal to the others. Max was asking about global variables. I'll show that later if there's time. So here's a distinction. Coincident and Pierce is different. Pierce means it literally, right now this is coincident to it because it's in plane with it. Does that make sense, everyone? I can't drag it up and down. I'm trying to go up and down. It won't go up and down. So coincident means that it's in line with it. If I literally want this point to be on this arc, this one needs to be Pierce in this instance. If I drag this down and I edit this loft, now hopefully I can grab this and now we should have a curve through here as well. But it's not equal all the, It's not equal all the way through. You can see here it's like a little bit. Then yeah, if you did two more here and here, you could do that as a loft. Max is right though. I think that a way to do this would be to extrude one of these D shapes or half a slot shape up and sweep a cut all the way around. Okay, that works. You know what you could do? Yep, exactly. I was going to say that this could be built in quarters, and that would make your life even easier.
So what I would have done is taken that the right face.
This one down here.
And you, yeah, that face, and then just cut it all the way. Okay, I guess that would.
Oh, extrude it and then like cut the end.
Cut the end.
It's another way to do it.
Yeah.
There's just a bunch of different ways to go about it. Yeah. I mean, another way, well, I don't want to spend too much time on this. You could extrude, to Max's point, you could take this shape here, you could extrude it up to this point where this starts, and this could be a loft going a half circle. Or you know what, actually, this is the most, revolve, I was just going to say, this is the most absolute simple way to build this. Would be actually to take this, and this happens in SolidWorks all the time, like, especially at the end of the day, there are a lot of times where it's like, I was struggling with something, I come in the next morning at 8 a.m. and like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like 2 extrudes, and I just wasn't in the right mindset. But here you can extrude up to a vertex here. And then here, if you put a sketch on this face, convert entities to copy it. Yeah, you can draw a line through the middle here, hit T to just trim out all these extra stuff. That error is saying, hey, there's a relationship that's going to be lost. And now here you can, it's like the harsh world of SolidWorks just doesn't care about relationships. Revolve it, and there you go. That's actually the most simple way to build it. But that was a good question on lofts. Basically, the more guide curves you have, you can control it.
You have to build it first and realize how poorly built it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Sometimes guide curves, you can overkill on guide curves. It is possible. Don't, whatever. Don't save, don't save. Wait. I'm going to leave this assembly. Okay. I will be more strict on time from now on. Apologies. Bonus to Nina for going first and being the guinea pig of learning how to do this. Okay. Wow, we need a quicker way to close all these files. Yeah, I could just keep hitting this. Don't save. Don't save. No, because then it's going to want to, if I hit enter, it's going to want to save. Just a quick glance at that crank knob could maybe have a bit, damn, I wanted to keep that assembly open. That crank knob could maybe have a bit more detail. Yeah. Here, we'll leave this open. Okay. Up next, we have, I was going bottom to top. Desktop, homework, Maxwell Wang. All right, so again, are all of these all the same family? Oh, and you have a toaster in here. Did you want it to be with the, so okay, don't say what you're, I'm going to start the timer now. Don't say what the thing is, and we'll see if we can all tell. These errors are just saying educational purpose to make sure that you're not making money, right, with the with the educational. Yeah. All right, let's make a new assembly right quick. It does a little bit. Is that X-Men Juggernaut? Okay. All right, toaster here. Oh my goodness. I wish I could say like, yeah, don't tell me. But I think, no, I don't think the reason it does that is like, it doesn't want you to be able to turn that off because for the same reason, it's like, yeah, it doesn't want you to lose. Okay, so here's the handle. It's a pull handle. Yeah, this is why it's good to, maybe this is good for everyone. Like check this sooner than later. I don't mind the big feet actually, especially because it's going to be hidden under here. Why is this like jumping around? That's weird. No, this feels like a bug to me. Okay, family guesses class. Do we need a refresher on?
Use a knob to get through the breakpoints.
Okay, I'm hearing retro from Anastasia. Yeah, that's my guess. 1950s retro. Anyone else agree or disagree? What were you saying? You said something different. Oh, the soft bubbly bottle. Okay, I don't disagree with you. At least this family,
Which bottle? The hip bottle?
the hip bottle. I'm assuming it is retro though. It is retro. So how can we differentiate it from the bobble, the bubbly?
It had chrome all over it.
Great. That's basically what I was getting at.
I think it's the handle. I think that's what gave it away for me. Like this swoop.
Yeah, the swoop in here.
This like co co.
Yeah, yeah. Funnel shape,
Yeah.
cone shape.
I
Yes.
think this is really like I think older appliances like kitchen appliances and like washing machines. I think they had this thing.
Well, and I think this toaster shape is good. What was that brand again? Smeg. It has a Smeg feel to it for sure. Yeah, we talked about this brand. I think I linked to it in the
My
email.
sister has one of the refrigerators.
So that's sweet. So okay, cool. We guessed. That's good news. We guessed it. Just I think the chrome will help differentiate it from the bubble brand, the bottle brand. Any specific questions, Max, for us to look at?
I don't know.
Max, did you have trouble with the inserts in your toaster? Like the cut throughs and stuff?
Oh yeah,
Did
did you
you figure it out? Because
you
I
made the change? This right?
No, I'm just starting to make it first.
Ooh, I love that foot. That's beautiful.
It's like it's not even
Nice. This is looking good.
Future whatever. Future.
Yeah, I like this next family.
And then yeah, this family I have one.
Wait,
Since the knobs not symmetrical either, it's smaller on one
those are
side.
really cool too.
That's
I would
cool.
like
I
that.
like it.
Really?
We will see. Sorry, so Max, what was
I
your?
guess my next question is how to make the toaster better, but
We can talk about that. That's fine. If you want to use your time for the toaster, that's totally fine.
or
Meditation
the
kicks in.
guideline for
Yeah,
like
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Um,
oh, listen, I keep guessing every time, like second one.
uh, okay, for what it's worth, I'm gonna be a little picky here. I hope in your rendering you differentiate these just a little bit more. Like I don't mind. I think this is a good distinction to look at. Like I fully expect your components to not be wildly different, but also just try to make sure they're not too similar. I love this foot with the kick. I assume you're going to orient it in a way that it's kicking out. That'll be cool. The knobs are maybe just this. Yeah, let's look at how he built this in a minute. The knobs are just a little similar, so I would ask that like either you give one a bezel.
I like the second one better than the first one. The first one's too similar to what we originally did. The second one where it
I love this.
makes
Yeah.
that's awesome. I would get rid of
I
that.
mean, put an indicator on this one. That'll help differentiate it. Okay.
eventually.
And maybe like one of them you can split along here and have like a chrome.
I was gonna have a bezel on one of them.
Perfect. That's enough differentiation. So does that distinction make sense to everyone about like similarity versus making them feel a bit different? Yeah. Okay. So for example, also this one has a good family vibe to it because they're all coming to points, whereas this one like I'll be honest, I would almost expect the knob to have a concave indent, similar to this handle, or to have this be ballooned out.
You won't use it on this way you would use it.
That's true. I was gonna say that's all subjective.
Yeah,
Like,
but if it's a handle, you want it to like fill your palm when you grab it.
You design it, or it's ergonomic
Well,
thing.
yeah, tell people to grab it. I would never grab a hot surface like that where my hand is flat up against the glass door. I will grab it like this because you
I hold my thumb to the
yeah.
because the glass would get hot and we would burn. I would burn myself. This is how I would grab it.
I hold.
Here, how about this as like a solution for both to keep this? Just have a big indicator scallop that mimics this. Is another. There's different options. You can choose. It's your design.
I was actually gonna do a third knob that's like this,
No, don't do that.
but like maybe cut like angled like I don't know.
Yeah, grip on the side.
And no, like it's gonna go kind of scallop like.
Oh, okay,
I need that, and then
that's cool. Um, yeah,
maybe I'll rearrange one of those without showing anything or whatever.
yeah. I just hope that again, I'm generally getting this gist here where it's these like, or maybe here's another way you could make this is like this foot here instead of it's just add a scallop. Like don't make this a straight line because you have a scallop here, you have a scallop here, then this is a straight line. So I think putting a scallop here, like if maybe this is like imagine that you render this as chrome, just these faces, then maybe putting a bezel on this knob will match that look, especially if the bezel like turns down, just like this does.
This is a lead, you know. I feel like usually like family features, they don't really put the same thing on the lead.
On the leg? Oh, on the legs, on the feet. I hear you. Yeah, I hear you, and I agree. Like, and that's a good. Sorry, I keep talking over you. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just making sounds too.
Yeah, I was just making sense too. Sorry. Okay, yes, Anastasia brought up a good point that I want to talk about. The legs, you don't see a lot of them. When I'm grading the families and making sure they look the same, I will be mainly looking at the knobs and the handles. That said, it's good design practice to at least try and have something in the feet that relate to the rest of the family.
Look at the body slightly changes for different designs.
Oh, of the toaster? You know what? I'm gonna recommend no. I want to simulate. I want this project to simulate like an actual design project, and there's often times where like the body is fixed and you're just changing the components on it. I really.
Do a fillet on the bottom edge for those.
This is, I'm more of
The third foot, it's very similar to the second toaster foot, where it's just a wrapped around the edge, and it would make sense for something like
Oh.
that to have a fillet there.
Okay. In that instance, that's okay.
subjective, and I know how to grade this because all of it's subjective.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of the question just Max just asked, but it's a good question. It's a good distinction. I would like the toaster to stay the same for all three.
What?
The only thing changing is the handle, the knobs, and the feet.
But we can modify your toaster, but all this modification should remain the same.
For all three families. Is that distinction clear? I think there's a lot of confusion here.
You got it.
The toaster, okay, so like here's a good example. This toaster, Max built this himself, but I assume most of you will be using my toaster as a source file. And I would like to talk about that towards the end of class, actually.
Your toaster is tricky to modify.
It is.
That insert does not, I've been trying to get it to fit nicely and it does not like it.
Okay, we'll get to that. Remember that question. I would like to address it. The toaster body that's highlighted in yellow, I assume will stay the same for all three families. If you would like to make a slight change, I'll allow it, like changing the size of a fillet. If that's what you're getting at, Max, that's okay. But the goal is to represent a design situation where you're just doing the trim, not the overall model.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you're freaking out. Did you build 3 toasters?
Something else, I hope not.
Okay. Okay, let me address Max's concern in the last 5 minutes. So let's look at this toaster body. He's saying here that, and I think if you'll all see it, you see the slight curve through here on the top?
Yeah.
He doesn't want that curve there, and I think that's happening from this loft. Now let's look at this. One of my gut feelings is that this, is this in the master? I'm assuming it's in the master. No, it's not in the master. So I see, so you're fixing this. I'm trying to figure out what's constraining. It's the angle here. So here's an instance where I want to know what this dimension is. Here it's saying, hey, it's overdefined. You're telling me too many things. Here I'm going to say, make this dimension driven.
What does that mean? Because I get that all the time.
If you're getting that, it's SolidWorks saying, hey, you're giving me information from one side. You're giving me too much information. I don't know which one to listen to. That's what that means.
And driven means this is someone you pay attention to, or driving means
It's like someone else is driving you around.
Yeah, if it's driven, it's a passenger. So it's just
It's just denoting that.
here. Let's look at we'll look at it on the other one because I have to do it on the other one.
Wrong one.
The main one.
Have you seen the movie Driving Miss Daisy? Okay.
but I don't think that's a good
No. In this instance, if it's driven, so okay, here it says, make this dimension driven, leave this dimension driving. This one means the dimension is Mrs. Daisy. This one means that the dimension is,
What's his name?
yeah, Morgan Freeman, right?
What's his name?
Is that his, that's,
That's the actor.
okay, I don't know his name in the movie. I haven't,
His name Miss Daisy actor.
I don't know the actor. Yeah.
So
So,
driven is like not the main. And
Right.
Driving is the main.
so driving means it's telling it to do it. It's a command. Driven means it's passive, and it'll remain gray. Driven means informational. Driving means it's giving. It's a direction. It's a command. Driven means it's being commanded. It's just
So what
giving
is
you
this?
information. So in this instance, I'm just letting it be driven. I just want the information, so it stays gray. It's not conflicting information.
Okay.
So they are equal. It was my way of checking if they're equal. Is basically what's going on here.
So, yeah. No, I'm joking.
Okay, so now we have verified with that they are the same. You are right.
That's why I was looking up the local variables for the angles on the bottom, the 84 points.
Gotcha. Let's look at this. This is good too.
Expect that.
So I don't know why this. So here's the solution. Oh, cutting it? No, I wouldn't do that because cutting it. Yeah, you're going to create a hard edge somewhere else. So here is. So we're going to do this. This would be the way that the quick way that I would fix this. So for what it's worth, I just rolled. Let me show you guys this again. If you roll the bar and split something like a loft between sketches, it'll rearrange it so it puts the sketches in order in which they were created again. So here's an instance where I would say I want to make a new plane. So I'm going to click on this top plane and drag it. Okay, that was confusing, I realize. So let's do this. Insert, that is an option. Okay, insert reference geometry plane. And now it's asking us for references. So here's where I might deviate from what I typically tell you all. Again, the preferred way I like to make a plane is I typically like to select a line and a point and make it perpendicular to that. But in this instance, I don't have that information ready, so I'm not going to do that. In this instance, I'm going to take the top plane. And then for the second instance, I'm going to select this point. And here it defaults to make it parallel to the top plane and coincident to the point. And that's exactly what I want. And because we know these are the same size, this point happens to be through here. There's some like kind of not ideal practices through this, but it's okay. Okay, here's the reason, just to talk through what I just kind of mumbled through. This plane is now driven by this point here. Ideally, you would take this sketch. This is a little bit convoluted, but now that you have a plane, you would want to put this point through that plane so that they're always aligned. Yeah, so you pierce the plane, so that the plane is now driving it. If you guys miss that nuance, don't worry. Again, I'm just saying it for best practice. The way to fix it so there's no curve is now to take sketch on this plane, create a new sketch on this plane, and basically to just, it's again, it's similar to what we looked at with Nina's. The more guide curves you have, the more controlled your loft will be. There's different ways to go about creating this. I'm taking a somewhat convoluted way. I'm just creating very quickly a fillet on this edge. I'm going to delete this out. And we want this to follow the master sketch that Max has down here. So I can select that that fillet was just a quick way to make like a tangent arc through here. I can select both of these here now and click on concentric, and now it's going to follow that shape. Does that make sense? Concentric means parallel. It's the curvature equivalent to parallel. I can now exit the sketch, go to this loft, and now if I edit this loft here, I should be able to select this as a guide curve, and it should hopefully take out that curvature for us. Drag this down to let it rebuild and look at it. Ooh, weird stuff is going on. You see that? I don't know what that is, and time is not on our side at the moment. That's weird. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know why it wants to bow out. And the angle is the same as well? You might want to do this as a sweep. So like take this profile here and just sweep it around, because then it'll remain consistent. Or actually, no, you know what? This is what's going on. Here's the other way to do it. You only want this loft to happen technically between this point and this point. It's only through the corner that you need that to be a loft. So just extrude them and just loft in that corner. That's the other way to do it. Okay, unfortunately that's time. Overall though, I think good direction. Okay. I may have to. I think just subjectively, it's my preference. Okay, up next we have Max Maynard. Okay. Okay. I'm worried you're a bit behind on the project now. What do you mean? Oh, they're not related to each other? I see.
You have a design like this is family 1, 2, 3. You're just designing.
Okay. Well, okay, let's look at it then.
It's stuck in my head.
Yeah, I'll delete one. That was a misclick. All right, off the bat, here's another instance where your handles are a bit similar. If you're planning to render them differently, then that's going to help. It's kind of a gray area. I mean, to me, these handles are too similar. Because it looks like, I don't mind using the same file and starting. I see what you're saying, the contour is a little different. But, I don't know, hopefully you all can see that those are pretty similar handles. Even to having like, they both kind of have a scallop. Like, if you wanted to differentiate this more, okay, I appreciate that the contour is different, but like, again, maybe there's a bezel here, or a bevel that stands it off. Maybe there's like aggressive grip detail on the back of one, or like one of them looks like it's like that, those like fins, like ribbing. Okay, looking at all the family together, and some of them look like they're not quite done. So we don't have a lot to look at. Sorry, Max. That was not meant to be meant negatively, but well, I mean, it is what it is. This is what happens if you don't have feet or you have half-finished knobs. But let's guess, based on these three, what the family is. No word from you, Max.
Past game thing? The gamer?
I was going to say more like the binoculars.
I'm sad.
So the reason I'm not getting primary +1 is because if it were the binoculars, I would expect these to be fully round.
And then one like scallop.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting the one scallop here. I see that. This one to me is feeling that water bottle-ish. But what's throwing me off is how the handles come to points out here. It might just be a geometry thing of the cut. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
I don't know exactly if this handle exactly fits the family.
Can I now ask
But
you
in
like
my
what
mind it works.
Say that
In
again.
my mind those handles work it.
Okay, let's here for the sake of it. I would like to actually try and legitimately guess. I think Max, it's safe to say that it's not clear enough. Um, oops, no, that's not what I meant to do. Project design show and tell. So let's look at this. So our options are Star Wars, cut cylinder, bubbly, cylinder plus scallop, or no, cylinder plus playful, 50s retro, Riverstone, blended. So I'm definitely not getting Riverstone. I'm definitely not getting this. The closest one in my head is this one because the handle feels bubbly. I would agree that the cylinder plus scallop makes sense. There is kind of a gamer automotive-ish to it.
I don't know that I feel like I have enough information.
Yeah, I think that's part of the challenge here is like we're essentially judging from one handle and one knob because these are so similar. Okay, so that said, without further ado, what were you going for?
So the one thing, like one of the one things you said was I was going for Riverstone for like flowing into the
Gotcha.
and the one knob that isn't either.
Ah, I see it now. Blended. Okay, okay.
So what were you
That's why I was saying blended, but like it never quite goes into that because it's just the outside part that blends into the body instead of the handle stuff.
Gotcha. He was going for this one, this kind of like blended, this blended look. Okay, I see that now that you say it. I would expect. I guess. So in terms of thinking of it as blended, I think that you are successfully doing blended. I think it'll look better in the assembly. I think it would help to try and, this is hard, I would maybe try and do this as a loft from a oval, because this point to me doesn't feel Riverstone. I would expect this to be an oval, so this might be like a,
I guess I could see now blended like it looks like it's being pushed.
yeah.
Like it's being part of the door.
Yeah, it's meant to like
I can
like
see
you're
that.
taking it and you're like smoothing it on.
Okay, I buy that. I think maybe one handle, another way to differentiate these then is maybe one handle, try and make this a loft,
Okay.
or a sweep. Let's see.
I don't exactly understand how you stand by loft for that.
Yeah, let's look at this. We can maybe do,
I feel like we're trying to educate
If I do a
public.
loft, like I would almost go like this, like an oval like this, and then
Oh, okay.
along the guide cut it off.
let's see if we can just kind of hack this together and see what happens here. Yeah, they can be hard. Okay, ovals are tricky to lay out. Good point. It always helps to draw a line in here, and that will help guide it, especially if you leave it like horizontal. So like now it's aligned with the origin. Anyway, drawing a single line through an ellipse helps. I should have done this before the mirror, but that's fine. I just want to show Max what a loft might look like. Extrude cut through here. So here is a loft where you can go now from this oval to here. And again, end constraint, you can say normal to profile to get this to be blended. Does everyone see how I just changed this handle to be an oval? So a very simple fix. You can always edit stuff.
Or for you, like blended and rough.
Yeah, I don't know. I think so.
Or even like tangent into the face.
Yeah, that makes sense. try and follow that through then. Try and have everything be blended. I would expect to see the knob like set down and in.
Yeah.
I would also maybe expect one of the knobs to be more of like Riverstone's kind of a hard one to translate to the toaster, I realize, but
Yeah, because like you still have your ergonomic. You can't just put like stone on it and be like, well, this is your knob. You still have to like
yeah.
do something that might not look like with stone right
That
away.
says grass in here.
Yeah, because
Well, I would argue, yeah, I agree. I see what you're saying. Let's look at how much time's left. Do you have any specific questions, Max?
No, you answered mine already.
Okay.
I can help you.
If there's any time, yeah, I'll try and show you that. Okay. I want to adjust what Anastasia said, how to do a Riverstone handle, like, I'm trying to think, there's no.
I feel like every weekend, Noah has to go through his computer and delete all the stuff. He didn't mean to say.
No, it's all good. Let's see here. All right, everyone, I'm going to teach you all a new feature here. And this will help Max with his project. That will make it simpler. So I just extruded a handle here. This is a very easy to use feature. It's called Dome.
It's not.
You can click on this and set the height to what you want it to be.
It's not.
I spent so much time revolving ellipses.
And then put a fillet on here to blend this out. Sorry.
So much of my time was just revolving ellipses that were all set. So they had like that only work on circles and ovals. You know what I'm talking about?
It works best on circles and ovals. I do not recommend using it on anything else. For what it's worth, you can also scallop with it. You can reverse dome. Max asked that. Domes are best used on circles and ovals. You can do it on a cube. I don't recommend it. It looks kind of funky. Not to my knowledge.
what if you feel like you before? Will it be better?
You can also go reverse and scallop. What if you fillet it before?
Yeah.
It doesn't work as well with the fillet before.
I mean,
Say that again?
because it's not gonna
Yeah. Here's what happens if you put the fillet first, is it puts the dome in the middle of it. So it looks kind of funky. It's more of a dimple. I have a feeling maybe. Okay, so if you're going for your Riverstone here, again, this would be my recommendation is to do the dome first. This could be a foot. This could also be a handle. Like, you could like mirror this. You could like dome the other side. I'm doing this all convoluted. Now imagine that this has like a stand off the center or off the side, and now you have kind of like a Riverstone handle. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, let me, with the remaining time, look at this knob and see if we can fit. You wanted this to be lofted, right?
Oh my god.
So here's what I would do. I would take this.
Oh my god.
I would not merge the results.
Like this one. When he finishes it.
Now let's look at this. This will not go, let's see, so we would go loft from here to here, yep. And here you can like drag this first. And now you can select this and select this.
Do you ever find it difficult to know what you're supposed to be selecting? Like when it's like pick the profile and
When in doubt, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but when in doubt, just like click on something and see what happens.
yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing.
Okay.
But it just takes a really long time and
Yeah.
it rarely results into what I want.
Selecting the things you've selected on accident is like the whole process of going over here. Press delete.
I usually walk away from the computer.
It's like she's an illustrator.
I literally do. I'm like, I need a moment.
I mean, I'll right click and hit delete. All right, right. That was a good question, Hannah. I don't know if I know my answer was kind of like not ideal.
I kind of assumed that was what the answer was.
Okay.
Like there's no direct.
I mean, part of it is just having previous knowledge of it.
Yeah.
You're gonna get this like butt crack here. You know, you can try. It doesn't like it when I tried it for the.
Is it that it's not tangent to the straight line?
See it? For some reason, it says tangency constraint is not allowed for this guide. It is either ambiguous or.
Yeah, those explanations are.
Drop. Two drop. Is it like
I don't know.
angle on the end, like not tangent to the straight line?
No, I think it's tangent here. I'm assuming it is. Yeah. Okay. It's doing this because it's just the nature of the loft and the way we're going. I'm trying to think if there's a quick way to fix this, to tell you how to fix this.
Could you intensify the angle and just fill it?
Lots of options. Let's start here. Sorry. Remember what you said, Hannah.
Could you just intensify the angle of the arc and then fill it? Like.
I mean, you could try and fill this out. This is not ideal. This is not best practice for SolidWorks. It kind of hides it. I hope to not see seams. Okay, I'll take a peek at it in a minute. What was your suggestion, Anastasia?
I thought maybe you fill it at the top of the teardrop. I don't know if that fills it.
No, filling up here won't bring it down. Is that you're saying fill at this edge?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we'll take up Max's option and see what he recommended. Yeah, that was yes. That was one thought. We'll look at yours in a minute, Max. Which knob was it here? I agree with Matthew. I think, Matthew, you're saying split it this way and loft a half circle to a half circle. That's another way to do it. So here, let's. I think he's saying like to break up the loft yet again with yet another loft. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. Let's look at what Max did, and then we'll move on. I mean, the way that I would typically do this is with surfacing. I haven't taught you all surfacing yet. I see. That's another way to do it. That's a good way. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what Matthew said. I'm going to try something really quick and see if it works. It is kind of a new introduction. I apologize. But let's see if this works. So in this instance, we're not allowed, it's not letting us make it tangent to the lines. So I'm going to see if I can introduce something in a simple way. So there's something called surfaces. Surfaces are like working with sheets of paper. If a solid body is a piece of clay, surfaces are sheets of paper. There are very similar things in surfacing to solid bodies. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select this sketch and extrude this surface. So it's literally taking the sketch and extruding it as a thin face. Right? So this is, again, surfacing is new to you all. But I'm hoping that starting with something simple like extrudes, now we have an edge to select that might allow us for it to be tangent. So let's try it. This is not a hack. This is how I would do it, because I would start to work with surfacing. Because surfacing allows for a little bit more control. I would surface the whole thing probably if I was running into trouble, but let's see here if we can say tangency to face. I'll be honest, I don't know why this error is popping up. I really, oh, you know what? Part of it too, Max, is that, so if you look at Max W's, he has a curve coming off the front here. That's another thing you might want, not coming to a point. But I'll be honest, I really don't know why this isn't letting us have it be tangent to the face.
But if it has a curve, would it be tangent to the face? At the top?
It has a curve. I believe this is, oh.
I've often sideways and use the top and bottom as guide curves. He's lofting sideways.
Let's look at this sketch real quick. I think, yeah, that's what you were saying, but I assumed, Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know why. I don't know why it's not lying
Just
that.
do the sketch from the beginning, like half of it, and then
Oh, start it with a half.
yeah, and then make sure if one line has
That it's actually tangent.
yeah.
I mean, I think it is tangent, but so anyway, yeah. Different ways. Quarters, I think, is the best solution. Okay, moving on. Let's see. How many have we gone through? Three people. We have seven. Oh shoot, we are cutting it close. Did I did my math right?
Every time I sit down,
Oh my god, I was getting this ambulance once and I smacked it in the door hinge. I thought I was gonna die. I thought like this is how my left hand was broken in half.
All right, let's do one more person and take a break. All right. Next up, we have Matthew Newer.
Ooh.
We'll look at them all together.
That's a little mushroom.
I mean, I'm seeing primitives like basic shapes. Minimal is kind of what I'm getting. Oh, interesting. That's the first where there's like some indication of some of it you're still working on.
oh, I know, it's this bottle texture in plus one thing.
That's
Binoculars?
No, where's the bottle? You have
Oh, the hip bottle texture plus one. Yeah, the soft bubbly and texture plus one.
where's my catch?
You tell me what it is.
yeah. Wait.
Oh my god, it's so smart. You'd be like, oh yeah, that's so nice, you know.
Matthew's like, exactly.
He didn't close it anyway.
All right. So there's one family. Okay. Okay, that is important. You want to. I think the simplest way you can make your families feel together is with adding texture that are the same on all across, or rendering them so they all have a chrome bezel or they all have like a color accent in the same place. Okay. No, of course, and we haven't. All right. So any guesses? People are.
Is there texture there?
So it looks like he's setting up for texture. Oh, there is texture.
But only that one has texture.
Maybe it's red for all.
Like Japanese like
It
audio.
does look like a
And I don't know why.
It does feel kind of old Japanese audio to some degree. You would switch the feet? Okay.
I think it's 50s. I think
$200? Gee.
oh, look at your knowledge.
Yeah, let us know. Where else is there going to be texture? You're going to have it on the top here.
It looks like a thumbprint.
Ooh, I like it. Okay. Red for sure. Like, how does he do this?
It's like the square way you kind of like imagine red, like each other.
Oh, it's going to be up and down.
Yeah.
It's gonna be metal. It's gonna be metal.
I can see it being like stainless steel.
All right, let's look back at this list here. If it's feeling retro to me, is kind of where this is feeling.
This handle is so red.
But yeah,
It feels like 80s.
I don't know. I'm getting retro from here. I'm not getting retro from this handle. This handle is feeling minimal to me.
I feel like the first family feels slightly retro, but not 50s. The second family feels more like the pebble, like Riverstone.
This is feeling the most 50s retro to me.
But I feel like
If I had to pick, sorry, go ahead.
I feel like this they kind of fit not like little like interesting because it's simple, but like you have this texture. So if you have like the handle kind of like
Which then makes you think
no,
teenage
but then when you look at the
like
handles
teenage
and knob,
engineering
it
had
does
sex
fit
with
together.
The ha-
Retro.
wait, these two fit together?
Yeah.
I agree, these two fit
So
together.
that's why you cannot just say, oh, handle doesn't look 50s. Yeah, but you gotta look.
Oh, I see, with everything else in
And you
context.
cannot put like a bunch of details, 50s details on every
Sure.
object. It's gonna be too much.
I hear you.
I mean, what confused design maybe approach, you know?
Maybe the Cubot.
Let's look at this real quick.
Frames, something like that.
Playful cylinder, 50s retro, gamer ergonomic, bubbly texture, cylinder scallop. My guess is minimal cylinder cubes. That's what I'm going with.
what is that one from?
Teenage engineering.
Are you said already?
You were trying to do 50s retro. Okay, you're close because I think the class got it. I'm not quite I'm not quite getting 50s retro.
I feel like when we turn these in, I'm sending you a YouTube link with my
Sure.
That I would say is 50s retro, like the second handle, the top handle.
This one feels most 50s retro to me. Some changes I would maybe make this teardrop shape. Like I would maybe mimic this shape here from a top view here.
Too harsh to be.
This one here, like I'm kind of getting 50s retro from the knob, especially once those cut-ins are in there. But like I feel like this needs more texture. Um, yeah.
sometimes they're not always though.
Well, I guess I look at a bunch of 50s furniture that help a lot when coming to like handle stuff.
It is subjective.
I watched the Jetsons. That helps.
Okay. Sure. I would. I think to these ones I might. Yeah, I think like chrome accents would help. That might help. Um, Look at like Studebakers. I don't know. Look at those car and the car trims. Yeah, split.
So yeah, like this I just looked up. I took 1980s Sony, and I'm seeing the same type of knob.
Yeah, this like kind of pyramid. This kind of rectangle on a knob. Yeah.
Yeah, you're 30 years old.
I mean, I am getting more 80s from this than 50s for what it's worth. Well, let's talk about what the differences are. So I think 50s you see more round, yeah, like bubbly shapes. 80s you see more like stark hard edges and angular. So like this kind of flat paddle knob, I agree with Max, is kind of more 80s. Even like having this be sharp here. Let's look at here. Let's look at what's his name? Is it Buckminster Fuller? Uh,
Buckminster Fuller. That's an easy name to remember. How many Buckminster
no,
Fullers
that's
do you
not.
know?
Who am I thinking of? It's not Buckminster Fuller. Damn.
I'm not saying he was right. I'm just saying that's an easy name to remember because it's weird. Do you have any opinions about that? Generally, for women, it's not a symptom of a heart attack.
I mean, I think like all of these soft curves is what helps. Like this kind of icon here. I mean, really, what we should do is we should just go back and look at this.
Isn't it? Most women will show up to the ER and be like, I don't feel good, and by the time they get diagnosed with a heart attack, it's too late.
So just like, so I think like running a bezel like this around your handles, things like that would help. I mean, this is essentially what everything is based off of is the design show and tell. So like looking at opportunities to pull things from here. So like, do you see how these? Okay, so let me pick on this handle here and build off what you're saying because you're not wrong. 50s is simple. To me, what makes this not quite so simple is turning it here. I think I like the sweep, but if you took this portion and just had it like stuck in the middle, so it's just like literally two cylinders crashing into each other, and render it as chrome, the way that this crashes into this, I think that would work better.
I
I'd put a fillet on it, but keep it, but that's it. Yeah, exactly. Have like two slightly different diameters. Does that make sense?
It's not as much about flowy shapes as each shape itself is flowy, but they kind of meet at a weird angle. Does that make sense? Yeah.
I think I think changing I think changing I mean this this kind of like this like double-sided tier shape or where it comes to this point I think works for the 50s. I feel like I saw you see like I can imagine like car bumpers that look kind of like this.
Or like
Yeah.
Owens something.
How much this?
Yeah, the handles. Yeah, for sure.
Their handles are like super angular though. It's really weird.
No, no, you're right. I agree. The fridge handle kind of works. I would then mimic this shape in the knob as well. Does that make sense? So I think everything should have like slight curvature to it. Try to avoid anything with like, try to avoid rectangles. Cool.
I need one of those extra things.
I think the feet are okay. I'm not quite getting 50s from this one. It's all right though.
My head is really heavy today.
Okay. Honestly, this was fine. I shouldn't pick on the feet. The feet are okay. Okay. Okay, cool.
That bowling ball.
No, let's do it. What do you want to split the handle?
Then my double chin is just like
Yeah. So, everybody, for your projects, try and add realism where you can. If you have a thick handle, it's a good idea to run a part line through the middle. I think I showed you all how to do that, but let's go over that again because it's important. So you want to create a sketch perpendicular to where you want the part line to go. This is where it's useful to have this master sketch. So I can take this sketch and convert entities on it. This is where it is acceptable, like Max said. I was about to call you Matthew, Max, because it's Matthew's work. Here we can select this and click on the mirror entities because we selected the for construction line. SolidWorks guessed what we wanted to do. And now it's simply just going here to split while we're still in the sketch. So the sketch is loaded here, and then you resulting bodies, you want to click in here and just click on one side, and then click that checkbox. Yeah, I mean, but if you forgot or it's, well, let's look at it without it. So if we delete this, so here's some key for splitting an object with a sketch. Is the sketch has to pierce the object completely. If this is short like this here, the split won't work. If it lines perfectly like here, sometimes it'll work, sometimes it'll bug out. You want to just make sure you have ample room there. You can exit the sketch. You can click on split, if I can find it. And here it's saying, hey, what do you want to split this with? Trim tools. And I'm going to say, hey, I want to use this sketch. That I don't know. I think if you leave it open, it should pop back open. Oh, it doesn't?
Yeah. I want that. The inside the feel stuff.
Is it okay? Because I saw the other version, like
Oh, from the front? Yeah, you can do that too. That's fine.
because I feel like that's what sounds more interesting.
Well, yeah, it could go either way. I agree. It could go either way. I'll be honest. I see this more typically this way. At least with when like I was doing work with Weber, they always split the handle this way. I don't. I'm trying to think why that is. Yeah. Say that again. Oh, yeah. I hear you. The parting line, okay, there's a couple answers. One, if you are going for that, it could technically be welded metal, so you may not need a part line. So that's an instance where it's okay to not have one. To answer your question specifically, if these are standoffs, you might want to do something like this. Is that what you were asking? Yeah.
Well, maybe, I think this one's pretty common.
This is common too, yeah. The standoffs won't have split lines then. Yeah. Provided that they're going straight into it, not at an angle. An angle would be an undercut technically.
Split line, is that also something that's technically that towards the bottom of the
Yeah, typically split lines towards the bottom. And then if you throw a small fillet on there, the part line will look a little more real. Okay. Cool? Perfect timing. Okay, let's take this is like, I apologize for the time planning. I did the math. We have what? We have 3 people left? Okay. And Juan, 3. Yeah, 3 people left. Woof, woof. Oh, really?
I'm like, those
Max just asked if you can shell from 2 different sides. It's possible. I don't know why it's not highlighting it.
That's true.
Oh, because it. Got it.
No, I mean like, yeah, like on the road. What about
It should. So yes, you can select 2 different faces for a shell.
Well, Dina Road, especially big,
You could.
don't watch out for you at all. Like,
Okay.
riding a bike is deadly.
I apologize for the poor time planning. One day I'll figure it out. It'll be like on my deathbed. But
By then you'll have been like, nah, I'm out.
yeah. So I apologize to remaining students that we have slightly less time. I'm going to do 10 minutes a student.
If you want to do me last, I'm cool staying late.
Okay, I appreciate that very much. And I don't mind staying late either. And I will. So let's do that then. Because I would like to take time to address your question about the toaster and adding it. Yeah. Okay. So we'll move on to Juan next. Let's look at these. I'll start the timer again, and I can stay late if you all didn't feel you get enough time. I can take more time. I realize it cuts into your own personal time though. So again, I am not good at time management. Holy smokes!
This is Star Wars.
Oh my god.
Nice work. I love it. That's so
The
good.
detail, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so
Do you think
good.
it's 50s retro? I think you might be right.
I think it might be Riverstone.
It's very similar. Ooh, that's different from what we've got.
Wait, it's the same?
Nice. Okay, so I think now there was a slight misunderstanding as to what he was explaining to me. That some of it was not the same family. Let's go new. Yeah, I mean, I think right off the bat, it's pretty clear what it is.
Good.
Nice. I like your interpretation of like having the buttons attached by something crazy. That's cool. Are you all familiar with the term greeble?
Jesus, what is that thing? That's huge. Are you like a master in SolidWorks that you can do all these little details?
I mean, let's look at how he built one of them. I'm assuming it's just stacking features that we've all learned like over and over. Some is,
Sure. Yeah, we're all supposed to know. Yeah, I know.
I'm assuming this was one family over here.
Circular.
This is one okay. This is what I was trying to move.
Oh yeah, you definitely have to.
Okay, so yeah, proportion on the foot is a little bit wonky.
Actually, a bigger foot is kind of a Star Wars thing.
Could make an argument. Well, so if this was built well, though, like once again, when you get to this level of complexity, a master sketch won't help you too much unless you plan very carefully right off the bat. But yeah, unfortunately, this is going to be hard to fix. I'll show you a cheating way to fix it. I don't want you to do this, but I want you all to be aware if you're ever in this situation and kind of there is a scale tool in SolidWorks. So again, if you need to add tools, you go to Tools, Customize, Commands, Features, and there is Scale. So I'm going to drag this up here. Or you can search, that's right, I forgot. Scale. And drag it out. Okay. Appreciate that. That is how I'll explain it for now. And you can see I'm set in my ways. Yes, you can search for features here. So if you click on the scale tool, you can click on this, set like about center and whatever you want to make it 20%, so 0.2. Maybe too small. Yeah, see, this is why scaling isn't ideal because like weird things like this happen, right? It's not an ideal tool, but it's a quick workaround if you're kind of screwed. It looks like you forgot to merge this thing to here. It's all that's going on there. Okay, so just awareness that that exists. That's all I wanted to tell. You know, I have mixed feel. Like, try not to use that. Okay, that's it will probably take off some points if you use that as a workaround. But maybe I will take off less points for doing that than just leaving a weird giant foot. So if you're pressed on time and you want to rebuild that, you can do that. Just know you might lose some points.
Unless your toaster requires just one weird giant foot.
Unless you figure out a way to make that one giant foot work. Okay, so we're guessing Star Wars here. Did we get that right? Okay, cool. Now there was a misunderstanding, so this one is something else. I'm assuming. Yeah, this is definitely, it feels like a simple +1 to me. Is this the binoculars? Okay. It works. Honestly, this feels like this could work as a Star Wars foot too, for what it's worth. I mean, that's the other solution. It's just, I mean, it seems like we put in good effort and time into this foot, but.
I feel like you're really good with the Star Wars thing.
Yeah, it's up to you which one to go with. I think the Star Wars one is awesome, and I encourage you to stick with it. You could probably, like, I'm assuming this took some time. You could probably, moving forward, like, if you do other Star Wars ones, you don't have to do this much detail. But if you have that time and you're willing to do it, or if it's quick for you, more power to you. Like, keep it up. It's awesome. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Do you have any specific questions on your work or SolidWorks stuff? Okay, yeah, that's a really good question. Let's look at it. Yeah, I mean, part of it is having a game plan from the beginning. So Juan's question was, okay, so how to keep such a complex object organized? So if I were to approach this as a fresh file, or let me pose it first as a question. Any thoughts on how you might approach this?
It's mainly fixed on the master sketches.
I'm seeing 3 feet, so I would do everything with multiples of 3, and then just do a and then mirror it
Yeah, so I would build it in thirds. I agree with that there. I would also like to make your life easier. Then I don't know how many of these are there. One, two, three. There are 6, so that works too. I would start the master sketch with a front view. Again, thinking back to the bottle project, looking at this profile and starting with a revolve. That would get the bulk of this right off the bat. Um, you could also like this could be done with a revolve if you wanted. Like you could revolve it just a little bit each way and then pattern it. Or you could do it with like a full revolve and then cut the 6 shapes. Same with these feet. So like if I were to try and build this in 3 minutes and 24 seconds, I would, and then not just challenge accepted. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so my master sketch would probably look like this kind of mushroom shape that you have. Again, these would probably all be dimensioned properly. But then you have like the foot here, so you could totally throw that on here too. And then you have these little things here. I would probably dimension this to some degree. Convert entities, but I don't want the feet. To Max's point, you could start by revolving it by 120 degrees and build it in thirds and hit caps lock. Don't hit caps lock. This is an instance where I would say mid-plane so that I can get this foot smack in the center. So there's some like decisions you make along the way like that. So then like this thing, I mean, you could just pull this. This is probably how you, I'm assuming how you did this. So I converted entities on just this line. This I would do as a simple extrude, but again, since we're building in the middle here, I would say mid-plane. And then set whatever width we want. For me, if it were me, I would not merge result right away because you're going to pattern this as multiple bodies. I would do the same thing with the foot down here. I would pull these lines. I'm kind of going fast now. Ideally, you don't, but it's okay. There are some people I've worked with that have as many blue lines as possible because they feel that you can modify it easier. This, okay, I'm building this weird. So you learn like geometry as you work in SolidWorks. So like, I know now just from experience that, or I don't know, maybe this is obvious to other people, but I always make this mistake. Because this is an extrude and it's merged, well, we're not going to merge it quite yet. You're going to end up with like a weird corner here. So just be aware of some of those things. The way you fix that, or at least the way I have fixed that in the past, is to just, yeah, just drag this back or up. But then other weird stuff happens. Or you revolve that portion of the foot. We can look at how Juan did it. And then here you can just simply go circular pattern. Well, this one we wanted what? We wanted this to have to be 6. Patterns always work better with bodies. Direction, I guess we learned you can select the edge. I tend to select a midpoint. This one we want 6. And then I guess we could have combined this foot. I think you all got this from this point on. But this is probably how I would approach building this. Let's see if selecting this center line works. And just setting this with 3. But of course, if you took the time to like build this thing out and like put all those cuts in, you could get it. Does that make sense? And then like using this here, like dimensioning this out. So like always think about the biggest chunk of the body you can build in the simplest way and start from there. Okay, good question.
That was quick.
All right, nice work, Juan. I would recommend you stay with Star Wars, but it's okay. Okay, moving on. Yeah, that's awesome. I wanted to look at how you built that, but we don't have time. So up next, we are going to jump to Anastasia. I didn't account for time opening and closing files. That's what was my mistake.
This used to be the worst part about it.
Yeah, SolidWorks is not like opening and closing files,
All right.
especially educational
And it crashes.
I love
Okay,
this is wrong.
files. Whenever I close SolidWorks,
this
it's
one,
crashing.
no, is this another file or the same?
I just hit open on all the ones you have
Oh,
on
okay.
here. There's some good detail in here. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Yeah.
There's a lot though. I've never seen that many.
All right, let's see here. 2, 2, and 2.
I see you also like the make activity plane is possible to have.
Oh yeah, I love this. I've been let's put family
I guess you told us already what you're doing, but that's it. Don't remind us. It's all right.
Oh, is maybe the
All right, that's cool.
Why does the side seem so funny?
why does it look like alien?
This is not the right file. No,
Did I down? Is it not the right one?
Please have
this
a seat for what?
this no, you did right. I think I downloaded. I think because you cannot see what kind of file I downloaded. I think I downloaded the technical handle. It's not the concept.
Okay, if you throw up the right one, let me know.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it.
Okay,
Can
so
you somewhere else or no?
what's up?
Can you start somebody else when I put the right handle on it? Can you talk to somebody else?
I was gonna do. I mean, I can transition to talking about the toaster. Let's do that. That's fine. Yeah.
Because
Okay. So okay.
If you open up my assembly folder, you can,
Oh, I see. It's in the zip.
there's like a,
Yeah, an edited toaster.
yeah, and it's a warning that comes up about the insert.
Okay, let's look at that.
Heaters and Ratco that I can't seem to.
No, I see it, but it's a zip file, so I have to just get it out of the zip.
Well, because you told us that was the best way.
Yes. No. Yes.
Okay. Well,
Perfect.
just like that.
No. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm explaining to Max why I'm not just clicking open right away.
If you just send it as simply zip file, would you not need to send all the single files?
Correct. Yes. Good distinction. Actually, I'll be honest. I didn't consider that, but you're absolutely right.
That's not
You don't have to send everything.
I mean, that's the original one I did from the first book. But that's not what I did.
You can email the handle. That's fine. Wild. I like it. Okay, this is not good. Browse for file. Anytime you see that,
What I do wrong.
toaster new is not here.
No, what? What do you mean it's not here?
It didn't package it for some reason.
Yeah, see constructing, you know?
Uh,
You just have to hold the meeting information. But I did a zip, how does it not?
yeah. Okay, that's confusing. Let's look. Let's look carefully here. So apparently, for some reason, this is pointing at. You know what? You gave me the zip file you gave me. If I double click on this here, it says toaster assembly, not family 2. Let me look at what you have on box here. So if we go to,
When I'm dying, I'll get right on how
yeah. Yeah. You didn't get it. So you're missing toaster 2. Or whatever. It's telling me, I mean, you're missing H-Day toaster new.
Yeah, but if I do the zip file, how does it miss it? I
You,
don't understand.
if I go here to the zip file, so here's the zip file. I'll double click on this.
Yeah.
Do you see this toaster assembly?
Yes. But here's the new one. I don't understand how it doesn't. But I will stop.
It's possible that you uploaded the wrong zip file. I don't know.
You open up toaster new. What if you open up just toaster assembly?
Well, so no, this is telling me, hey, it's looking for toaster new. I don't see toaster new in here. So let's look at this. Well, you both look for your files. No, it's okay. There's a chance you uploaded the wrong zip. There's a chance, I don't know. I do want to talk about this though, okay? Homework for Wednesday, you all have to have Keyshot installed. Is there anyone who doesn't have it installed yet? Okay, it can be on the Mac part, that's okay. And it's gonna make your life a little bit more difficult to swap back and forth. But students last class did that. To not have to install it again. I don't know. As long as you have installed, that's good. So we're gonna get into Keyshot on Wednesday. This toaster file, here's the bare minimum that I require you all to do, okay? So for example, I tried to make this as editable as possible. It is part of your SOLIDWORKS career. You're gonna have to work with other people's files. You're also gonna have to repair files. It's something we haven't had to do yet. So this is a good intro to that. The bare minimum that I would request that you do is change the vents. They're even labeled here, vents. At the very least, edit this sketch to be a new profile to match whatever aesthetic you want. That's my bare minimum for editing, which I think is a pretty low bar. Ideally, you can come in here into the master and change some of these. Nino was asking me last time how to make this square, and I think the solution I told her is whenever you can work with what's existing in here, I would do that. So for example, I think this is what I showed her, is to delete this and to just tell this to be vertical. Nope, didn't want to do that. Because of this one here. If I delete this value, it should allow this to be vertical, set this to be vertical. And now if I exit out, no. Okay, one fillet failed. But now okay, so this failed probably because this door is now way at the top. So we look at where that is happening. We can look at this front master panel here and see, then can we see what this is based on? It's centered about the origin, so you can always delete this and drag this down a smidge, and now we can exit and see if that solves it. Too low. Say that again, Matthew. Oh yeah, that's okay too. But then you got errors, I assume, right? Because it was missing stuff. No problem. That's a good exercise. Just going through that and figuring out what to delete, you can. So does everyone understand how to modify this toaster? I tried to build it in such a way that this side panel was done on its own first. So that way you can mirror it easily. Another thing you could do is on this surface, just add an extra detail to it. Extruding off of this. Do either of you have files for me now?
I already, yeah,
You emailed me, okay, cool. So I'll wrap this up. And then again, here's another instance where it's acceptable to fill it earlier because you want to fill it before the mirror. I don't know, I'm making this shit up, this looks terrible, but at the very least, look at this side panel and please modify it, okay? Is that clear to everybody? I would try and do that. It's not an actual requirement for Wednesday. I'm not going to take away points if you don't do it, but strong recommendation to do it because as we go into Keyshot, it'll help you. I want to show you one other thing. This is well, actually, no, sorry, two more things.
Toaster done by like say like a
It doesn't have to be, but I would recommend it.
Yes.
From this side file here, let's say you want a curved top, okay? I'm going to sketch an arc in here. And there is a tool that isn't up here, but let's, oh, it is. It's replace entity. If it's not up here, go up here and type in replace entity and drag it in. So we have a curve on the top here. We're going to click on replace entity and it says replace this entity. So in this instance, we don't want it to have a flat top with this one, with the curved top. And you can either leave the other one as a construction line or delete it. This is like a very important feature. Is everyone paying attention?
No, I wasn't.
So I'm trying to reverse this arc top, this flat top with an arc. I sketched the arc. I then loaded replace entity. If you don't have it, you can search for it here. Replace entity and drag it here. I can click on this and say, okay, it's asking you what you want to replace, this straight line with the curved one, and do you want to make the straight line construction or delete it? We can just say leave it for construction. Click check. Now let's see if it rebuilds or if it breaks. It broke. Well, some of it worked, some of it didn't.
Well, that's different though. That looks very Star Wars.
So the reason why this failed, if we look at this now, is because the cut doesn't pierce through it. So we simply edit that, drag this up, and now we exit out, and it fixes that. Anytime you have an error, you can right-click on it and see what's missing. So here, right-click on this, edit file. It shows you the dotted lines of where they used to be. This was an error from before, from making it straight. I'm assuming one of these, though, is the error on this edge now. Oh, here it's missing the fillets for these things. So does that make sense? That's another way you can modify the toaster. Okay, that's all. One thing I'm going to allude to that we'll get into is when you bring things into KeyShot, colors can be important. We already talked about that. A simple way to separate things is you can right-click on a face, go to Appearances, and change the face color only. And so, for example, if you want the outside of your toaster to be a different color than the inside, we'll do this again on Wednesday, but I just want to give you a preview. You can edit that. So if you are coming in ready with your work, you can try and set some of that stuff up. So remember, again, to change a face, you right-click on it, you click on the beach ball, and you just select face, and then you can change that color. If you pick from here, it will match them. So like, if this comes into KeyShot now, because these are both the same, it'll match these as the same material. It will prompt you in KeyShot when you get there.
Okay.
Yes, short answer to your question, yes, though. If I go, there's a beach ball here. It's going to load it for me. If I drop down, if I click on the beach ball here, you'll see the color says 2, it's linked them. Okay. Any questions on this toaster modification? Okay. Sorry, I will restart the timer for you, Anastasia.
So mine won't let the zip file grab pack and go because of the error in my toaster that I want you to.
Okay. Are you still fine with me helping you after class?
Yeah.
Okay. So Anastasia, you emailed me the file. You can all, let's see here. Download this. And this is the one you wanted me to look at. I will start your new timer. This will take us to the end of class. Handle try 2?
No.
Family handle 1. So we will start here. So your question is, you had an error building this, or a challenge building this. Oh, I'm asking you. Oh, it's just the wrong one. I see.
No, it's just
Oh, I like that. That's cool. That looks really nice. I like that.
Why did you say that? It's instead of that thing, this is just part of the knot on the other side.
I think,
Because it's handle, it's not.
I see. Okay.
It's stuck.
Instead of this top thing
Yeah.
here, hide this guy.
Um,
Is that right now? So across the bat, I'm seeing all of you having trouble with scale. Please double check that sooner than later. I'm sorry if that's more work.
Assembly was the easiest way to know if it was scaled up properly.
You could do that. You could, I think I mentioned that in the assembly video. Maybe not.
I was trying to be like when I build it like an inch like you like show in the printouts like to make knobs, but still I guess it's
It didn't work.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Assembled it, and then I'm like, "Nope, that's wrong."
Let me show you what Hannah's talking about. It's good advice. Okay, so if you preemptively drop your parts in to your assembly, you can go to the knob here, right click on this and say, it's this Tetris piece with the blue cube, say edit part. There's a lot of visual noise, but now you can actually work on this part in the assembly, or you can work on it in its own part and just keep checking back in the assembly. It will update as you work.
This way, does it also update the top of
It does, yeah. So I can change the sketch. Let's, I mean, I don't, oh, it's gigantic, I think, because I have all of this. Yeah, 2 times size. But now let's see, can I change, here we go. Let's say, get away. Let's say I want this to be, I can look at the space I have on the toaster. SolidWorks doesn't like this, just because there's a lot going on. Is that what you meant, Hannah? You meant edit it and check it consistently?
I would just assemble it and then go back to the main files because I don't like editing on the
Okay,
assembly.
sure.
And then it would just update. Like, so
Yes.
I would put in one of my knobs and the base. I didn't realize how large I had made it.
Okay,
So it stuck over the glass and the edge, and so then I just fixed the original file and in assembly
Cool.
it. Then I could go back and it says update, and I'd be like, oh, that works, or it didn't.
gotcha. Great advice. So strong recommendation, maybe the next thing all of you do should be to drop this in a toaster assembly and then just start working and checking as you work. I showed you all the scale workaround. Please, I will take off points for that, but if you're absolutely like slammed on time, you will lose more points for it being the wrong size than you will lose for using the scale tool. Make sense? Okay, let's look at. No, it's your interpretation. Yeah, as long as it fits, it makes sense. Okay, is everyone getting the toothbrush for this? I think it's a bit busy, is my takeaway.
I read like requirements like all kinds of stuff like at least one hundred should have like the grip that you told us to do.
I see.
And like the only way to do the grip I felt this way because of the ergonomics.
Sure.
And then I did like cut out.
Honestly, I think if you got rid of these grips, I think these kind of work because it gets your thumb in there. No, you don't have to. You don't have to. I like the part line. Good job. I would put a fillet on this edge too. Don't forget that. I like the grips on these knobs. Makes sense. Although I feel like the knob should be oriented. I feel like the indicator should be here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Functionally. It's also kind of atypical that the knob would be wider than the bezel. So just try and get those. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm digging like the scallop theme, so I feel like this I might do with scallops. I know this is all design feedback. Like you're on the right track. I feel like it's just a bit busy. This family is great. Honestly, this shape that you have here, actually you have it on the knob. That's awesome. I honestly don't think it needs this. Is this intentional?
Yeah.
I feel like you don't need that.
Well, yeah.
Like I feel.
I didn't like the fillet that it made, but I didn't know how else to make it because
Let's look at this.
It didn't have like you cannot put like a sharp edge.
I understand. I
I
understand.
actually had another one. I did like a third design. I wanted to do like if you come back to before fillet was done.
On here.
Yeah. So I wanted at first I wanted to make multiple fillets like in the middle to be like the the biggest fillet and
And
on the edges like little bit.
let's do
Because
that.
I did like
There's an easy way to do that I can show you.
couldn't get it.
Okay, you want it to be a big fillet here and a small fillet here.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone, new feature. It's within the fillet feature.
I did that.
You did variable fillet?
Yeah, I did like this the thing that you have to do.
So here you click on this here.
Yeah.
Okay, this didn't work for you. Let's see. Sometimes variable fillet can be finicky. It may not. Yeah, your scale is way off. Let me select this, please. Okay, I'm gonna adjust for your scale. Please, SolidWorks. There you go. Thank you. It's like I have to think. Okay, so this is an instance. It was working before, it's not working now. Building in quarters would help. I know it sounds crazy, but like sometimes, especially if you're trying to do like a variable fillet like this, it doesn't want to do that. I'm assuming it's looking to me like there's no tangency through here. Let's look. How did you build this? Yeah, see, I would do this with a revolve, not a sweep.
Oh, I see.
And if I look at if I look at this, if this is from your master, let's look at your master here. Here you go. Horizontal. You want this to be. Oh, it is tangent already. You have a tangent to something else. Okay, I stand corrected. Yeah, I think there are slight intangencies from there. But if you were to cut this now into quarters and mirror it and mirror it, you would have that fillet the way you want it. Does that make sense? Overall, I mean, I think. Does that answer your question? Do you have other? Okay. I mean, I like your direction that you're going. I would just maybe just a little less busy. I think this handle's beautiful. I feel like this would be nice as a knob. I just don't see the toothbrush quite as busy as you have these. And so it's a good clarification that you don't need to have all these grips and stuff. Yeah, Max.
As much as I like the second family that we just went over,
Yeah.
I don't see that as a toothbrush.
Good. Well, yeah. I mean, subjective. I don't disagree. You could maybe do more scallop. I guess what I'm seeing is this scallop run all the way through. I mean, I think rendering it translucent would help. It'll make your rendering a little bit harder.
Kind of like this is like from the side.
Yeah.
So I had like a toothbrush. Like
Yeah.
This is where your thumb goes and this is where your like fingers. So it's like this is.
Yeah.
So if you look on the profile.
I see it because I see it as like part of the toothbrush that's like cut off.
I mean, if you not
If
just
you
just
revolve it,
just honestly toothbrush, you gotta like take
So
the whole idea why the
she was calling out this shape and saying this is where the thumb goes. I mean, I get that. I see it. Again, I think though part of it would be rendering it translucent in that like fun colors would help. Translucent is going to be a little bit harder to render, but it wouldn't hurt. I don't disagree with you, Max. I mean, there maybe could be a little more detail. I don't know. I don't know if this needs like ovals or something like.
You cannot just put holes everywhere. Though.
No, I know.
I was like, okay, everything's off and there's none. That's how I
Sure.
you know,
Yeah. I don't disagree with you. I like this handle.
But then I understand you see on it, you don't see that object in it, you know. But then from I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. It's really hard exercise because.
It is. Well, there's a lot of subjectivity to design, so that's why in these show and tells, the goal is to get the definition.
Maybe if it was like a fix or something.
Again, I think if you do these colors and translucent, that'll help you.
So what should I change for my next one? I should just get rid of those ridges and make the scale good. And then you said.
Yeah, I would work on scale. Yeah, okay, let's see. Just some direct feedback. And I'm happy, again, for this to be discussion. It's all subjective. You're welcome. Others are all going to disagree with me. I would get rid of these scallops, these cuts in here. It's just a bit much. I would widen this bezel to match this edge here. I would put this indicator here.
Like where the squeezy part.
Yeah, like I would move it 90 degrees. And then I would take all of these little protrusions and make them as dimples. Just like this. I would make them just like this, but like small. I don't know, it might be a bit overkill.
I feel like if
You
you're
probably
it off of the toothbrush, that's too much.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you, Hannah. Like you may not need dimples on there.
Like I feel like you could leave it without
Yeah.
this, and it would just be perfect in the handle with the cutouts.
I agree with Hannah.
have to have those things.
No, you don't. It's not a requirement.
You don't need a bezel, right?
You don't need a bezel.
Like
Oh, the indicators.
No. Like on the side.
Oh, how many minutes? That could be done with a graphic. You don't need it though.
I thought you have to do it. I know. I don't like it. It looks like a spaceship or something. Like I'm
Well,
but I was like, how else I'm gonna show this to be in like brand like in kind of like this.
it can be done with a graphic.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, and graphics are not a requirement. I'm not looking. I appreciate your attention to detail and accuracy.
okay.
No nipples.
But I feel like
And then this
from
one,
the toothbrush to design, like that looks better as a knob for the toothbrush, just because of the simplicity of its shape.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
And
what
it's in detail to the ergonomics.
Can you go back?
How it was before.
You talked about how this you like about
Yeah.
Can you go back?
I can.
You cannot.
I can. We're right up at the end of class. Other people, you're welcome to leave at this point. I'm sorry that we went over here.
Too many.
So again, Wednesday, just have key shot. That's the most important thing. I would strongly recommend, though, to continue working on this project.
No, I totally know where you're coming
Are you gonna come back to me?
I am. I'm not done. I'm not done with you.
It's just dismissing the rest of it.
No, just put somewhere else.
This one.
No, that's fine. Sorry, I opened the wrong one.
And I was gonna say, no, that was nice. If you got rid of all of the dots at the bottom, I think, and if you shrunk the handle part. So I feel like again, you don't need all the tick marks, and you need to reduce the amount of grippiness.
Yeah, for me, I don't think you need all of this. I don't mind the tick marks. I would leave the tick marks on one of your concepts, and maybe just have fewer of them. Just knock it down to like 8. It doesn't have to be so many.
I feel like the tick marks kind of take away from the simplistic nature of
I do agree. I just yeah, I agree. And
So even if you would get rid of this, the blue one would be fine. Would it be like better?
well, plus the scale. Yeah, it's fine. It can be simple.
Because again, I was like, grip, because like you gotta put like little.
Yeah, exactly. Look at the toothbrush.
this is simple. In
Yeah.
its look, its design is technical, but this
But
has
you
like
get see like
okay,
you
see
cannot
the thumb, you see how you have the
yeah,
edge?
because it's toothbrush and this is what it does. The same people can do some other things. They cannot, live in different environments.
I did.
This thing's
Yeah.
gonna,
This is gonna be a long video, but I'll try and find the. It's still recording.
lose